Lee, don't bother coming to the wedding next week. I nearly dropped my phone. My sister Linda's face glared at me from the screen. Why wouldn't I come to my own sister's wedding? Because you're an embarrassment. I can't let anyone see you as a part of my family, she spat out, her eyes cold and unyielding. My hand shook slightly, but I gripped the phone tighter. Linda, this is out of line. What have I ever done to you? Besides existing. You mean besides constantly looking like a bum and embarrassing us at every family gathering? She shook her head as if I was the one acting irrationally. You were always the disappointment, Lee. I don't need you ruining my perfect day. Wow, Linda, you always manage to find new ways to hurt me. My voice cracked. I hated letting her see she'd gotten to me, but it was difficult to maintain a stoic face. Just stay away, Lee. This isn't about you for once, she said, before ending the call abruptly. For a moment, I just stared at the dark screen, my reflection looking more tired than usual. I felt the burning salt of tears pooling in my eyes and angrily brushed them away. For as long as I could remember, Linda had always been the golden child. And me? I was the shadow, the invisible girl who never fit in my own home. I stepped outside into the cool evening air, hoping the crisp breeze would soothe my tangled thoughts. Everything Linda had said to me echoed in my mind. Why do I always let her get to me? I muttered under my breath. But then I thought about our parents' faces, disapproving, always finding some way to point out my flaws while praising Linda's accomplishments. My phone buzzed again, breaking me out of my reverie. It was a text from Tina, my best friend. Hey, want to grab a coffee? Need to vent. Seconds later, I was headed to our favorite spot. Hey, there you are. Tina greeted me with concern etched in her eyes. Linda just told me not to come to her wedding, I said, slamming myself down into the chair across from her. Tina's jaw fell open. Are you kidding me? That's beyond cruel, even for her. Yeah, she called me an embarrassment, I said, bitterness heavy in my voice. Lee, are you going to let them keep treating you like that? Tina's tone was fierce, yet filled with compassion. No. I shook my head, drawing strength from her support. I'm done caring what they think. I have better things to focus on. It's time I live for myself. Good. You deserve more than what they've ever given you, she said, squeezing my hand. And whatever happens, you've got me. I smiled for the first time in hours. As we talked about everything but my family, a warm reassurance filled me. Maybe it was time I turned the page. Tomorrow, Linda could enjoy her perfect world for all I cared, because as of today, I was done living in anyone else's shadow. Are you sure you're okay? Tina asked, her brows knitted with concern as she sipped her coffee. Yeah, just processing, I said, fidgeting with the lid of my cup. Linda's words were harsh, but they've helped me see things more clearly. Tina leaned forward, her eyes softening. How so? I realized I'm tired of being pushed around. I've always let my family's opinions shape how I see myself. It's exhausting and pointless. My voice steadied. I need to focus on things that actually matter. About time you see that. You're an amazing graphic designer, and you've done it all by yourself despite their lack of support, Tina said, her tone proud. I smiled weakly. Remember when my grandparents got me that first sketch pad? They were the only ones who believed in me. Tina chuckled. Yeah, they always had your back. They knew you had something special. Those were the best times, I said, memories flooding back. My grandparents had always been my safe haven amidst the chaos. They had nurtured my creativity when no one else had. Leah, you've built a career on your talent. Who cares what Linda or anyone else thinks? Besides, you have people who appreciate you, Tina said, giving my hand a reassuring squeeze. You're right, I said, determination bubbling inside me. Linda's wedding is just one day. It doesn't define me. I have so much more to look forward to. Tina's face lit up. That's the spirit. Now tell me more about this big project you're working on. Oh, Tom's company is expanding, and they need a complete rebranding. It's massive, but super exciting, I said, my mood lifting as we dived into designing ideas. As I left the coffee shop, the conversation lingered in my mind. It felt good to recognize my worth beyond my family's judgment. My phone buzzed with a message from Tom, reading, Leah, great work on the initial designs. Let's discuss further tomorrow. Keep it up. The small note of encouragement boosted my confidence even more. I walked into my apartment, energized and ready to dive back into my work. I pored over the designs, tweaking and perfecting until my eyes grew heavy. The next day at the office, Tom welcomed me with a warm smile. "Lee, I didn't know your sister is marrying into the Grayson family." I blinked, caught off guard. "The Graysons? My sister is marrying the CEO's son?" Tom nodded, seemingly amused. "Small world, isn't it?" "Yeah, very small," I murmured, the weight of this new information settling in. Linda's life was intersecting with mine in ways I hadn't anticipated. "Well, our project needs to shine even more now," Tom said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. "You up for it?" "Absolutely," I said, a fire igniting within me. It seemed fate had its plans, intertwining our paths once more. I couldn't wait to see where this led. I opened the door to my office and focused on the upcoming meeting with Tom, trying to shake off last night's revelation about Linda's fiancé. But as soon as I walked in, Tom's voice pulled me back into the drama. "Leah, great timing. Nathan Grayson is here, and I'd like you to meet him. He's interested in our designs," Tom said, waving me over. I gulped, my mind racing. Linda's fiancé was here, and I had to remain professional. "Sure, Tom," I replied, forcing a smile. Nathan stood as I approached. His handshake was firm, his smile genuine. "Nice to meet you, Leah. I've heard a lot about your work." "Thanks, Nathan. I've heard about you, too." "Congratulations on your engagement," I said, keeping my tone even. Nathan flashed a smile. "Thank you. Linda and I are very excited." "Well, let's get to it," Tom said, gesturing us toward the conference room. As we presented the designs, Nathan's enthusiasm was contagious. He asked insightful questions and offered thoughtful feedback. It was hard to connect this kind, intelligent man with Linda, whose cruel words still echoed in my head. We wrapped up and Tom left to take a call, leaving Nathan and me alone. He turned to me, his eyes thoughtful. "Lee, are you going to Linda's wedding?" I hesitated before answering. "Linda explicitly told me not to come," I said carefully. "Did she not tell you that?" Nathan looked genuinely confused. "No, she didn't mention anything about that. What's going on?" I took a deep breath, considering my next words carefully. "Let's just say, Linda and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things." Nathan's brow furrowed. I knew she had some issues with her family, but I didn't realize it was this bad. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" I shrugged, feeling old wounds resurface. "It's complicated, but, to be honest, I'm more focused on my work right now." "Well, I'd like you to be at the wedding. It would mean a lot to me and, I'm sure, to Linda as well." I doubted Linda would share his sentiment, but I nodded. "Thanks, Nathan. I'll think about it." After he left, I found it hard to concentrate on work. Should I go to the wedding? Expose Linda? I knew I had to talk to someone. I called Tom, my mentor and the one person whose counsel I trusted implicitly. "Tom, I need advice. Can we talk?" We met in his office later, the soft hum of the city outside his window. "Tom, can I trust Nathan with the truth about Linda?" I asked, my anxiety palpable. Tom leaned back, considering my question. "Trust your instincts, Leah. If he's the right person for her, he'll understand." His words resonated with me. Maybe it was time I confronted Linda, not just for myself, but for everyone she had hurt. The path ahead wasn't clear, but my resolve was. For once, it was time to stand up and face the storm head-on. The doorbell rang just as I was finishing up another set of designs for Tom. I wasn't expecting anyone, but when I opened the door, Nathan stood there, looking tense. "Nathan? What are you doing here?" "Lee, can we talk?" he asked, his face clouded with concern. I stepped aside, letting him in. "Sure, come in." We sat on my small couch, an awkward silence hanging over us. Finally, Nathan spoke. "Linda's been so different lately. She's always on edge, and now this thing with the wedding. Can you please help me understand what's going on?" "Nathan, Linda has always been difficult with me. She doesn't want me at the wedding because she thinks I'm an embarrassment." Nathan's eyes widened. "That's ridiculous. Why would she say that?" I shook my head. "We've never really gotten along. Our parents always favored her, and she made sure I felt it every day." "She never told me any of this," Nathan said, his voice full of disbelief and frustration. "I don't want our marriage to start with lies between us." "Nathan, look, I don't want to ruin anything for you. Maybe this isn't my fight. But it is your fight, Leah. And it's mine too, now. I love Linda, but I can't marry someone who harbors this much bitterness and lies to me about her family," he said, resolve hardening in his eyes. I sighed, the weight of years of mistreatment pressing down on me. "All right, I'll go to the wedding, but know that facing Linda won't be easy." Thank you, Lee. It's important. I'll make sure you're not alone in this, Nathan assured me, clasping my hand before leaving. The day of the wedding arrived faster than I'd hoped. My stomach churned with nerves, but I knew backing out wasn't an option. I stood outside the grand church, inhaling deeply before stepping inside. The place was already buzzing with guests. Linda's radiant smile dropped the moment she saw me. She marched over, her dress swishing with each angry step. "What are you doing here, Leah? Didn't I tell you not to come?" she hissed. "Nathan invited me, and I thought it was time everyone knew the real you, Linda," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Anger flashed in her eyes. "You wouldn't dare," she whispered. "It's time," I replied, matching her intensity. Nathan approached, sensing the tension. "Linda, we need to talk. Right now." She shot me a venomous look, but followed him to a more private corner. Guests began murmuring, sensing the brewing storm. I followed them, my heart pounding. Nathan turned to her, his face troubled. "Why didn't you tell me about the way you treat Leah? This impacts who I thought you were." Linda's mask of sweetness cracked. "Nathan, she's just trying to ruin my day." "No, Linda, the truth was always bound to come out," I said, stepping forward. The confrontation drew eyes, and whispers spread like wildfire. Linda's carefully constructed image began to crumble, and for the first time, I felt a sense of liberation. Nathan nodded at me, his support unwavering. Despite the tension, I stood tall, ready to face whatever came next. Nathan's voice was firm as he confronted Linda. "I thought I knew you, Linda, but this cruelty towards Leah, I need to know the truth." Linda's eyes darted between Nathan and me, searching for an escape. "Nathan, you don't understand. She's always been jealous of me." "That's not true, Linda," I interjected. "I've only ever wanted to be accepted by my own family, but all you did was shove me aside." The guests nearby edged closer, eager to hear the unfolding drama. Linda's face twisted with rage. "This isn't the time or place for your sob story, Lee." A murmur ran through the crowd. Nathan placed a hand on her arm. "Linda, stop it. We need to resolve this now." "Resolve what?" she spat. "You're taking her side over mine? On our wedding day?" Nathan's eyes hardened. "It's not about sides, it's about truth. And I won't marry someone who can't even be honest with her own family." From the corner of my eye, I saw our parents approaching, faces pale. My mother went directly to Linda. "What's happening here? You two should be getting ready for the ceremony." "Mom, why is Leah even here?" Linda whined, turning back to her parents for support. "It was Nathan's decision," I said calmly, standing my ground. "And honestly, Mom, Dad, you've always let her treat me like dirt." My mother's eyes narrowed, but before she could speak, Nathan cut in. "This isn't about making scenes, it's about fixing what's broken. Right now, I can see there's a lot that needs fixing." People started whispering, questioning Linda's integrity. Her carefully planned day was unraveling, just like her calm facade. Seeing things escalate, I looked for Tom in the crowd, hoping to find someone who wasn't part of the chaos. He caught my eye and gave a reassuring nod. I approached him, hoping for some words of wisdom. "Tom, I need advice. Can I trust Nathan with the truth about Linda?" I asked quietly, feeling the weight of the situation. "You've known Nathan longer now, Lee. Trust your instincts. If he's the right person, he'll understand," Tom said, echoing his earlier advice with conviction. Reassured, I moved back toward the growing circle of family and guests. "Linda, this isn't just about today. It's about all the times you tore me down to feel better about yourself. I'm tired of it." Linda's expression shifted from anger to desperation. "You're ruining everything, Lee. Why couldn't you just stay away?" Nathan's gaze was fixed on Linda, unwavering. "Linda, I need you to come clean. To me, to everyone. This has to stop." Her shoulders slumped, realizing the mess she had created was too great to sweep under the rug. The room fell silent, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Linda began, her voice trembling. In that moment, it became clear that the truth was finally out, and the facade Linda had maintained for so long was collapsing. For the first time, she seemed truly vulnerable, and despite everything, I felt a pang of pity for her. As I stood there, I knew this was the turning point, not just for Linda and me, but for Nathan too. He had to decide if honesty and integrity mattered more to him than an elaborate wedding. I hoped for all our sakes he chose wisely. Linda stammered, her voice cracking. "I've always felt like I had to be perfect, to outshine everyone, to be what everyone expected." Nathan's eyes softened, but he didn't let go of his resolve. And trampling over your sister was part of that? Tears welled up in Linda's eyes, and I could see her walls crumbling. Yes, it was. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for everything. And you expect an apology to fix years of cruelty? I asked, my voice steady but filled with years of pent-up hurt. I don't know, Linda whispered. Nathan stepped closer, taking Linda's hands in his. Linda, I love you, but love needs trust and kindness. This is a lot to take in. Linda looked desperate. Nathan, please, don't leave me. We can work through this. Nathan took a deep breath, glancing towards the gathering of our extended family and friends. We need to be honest with everyone here first. He turned, addressing the room, his voice carrying over the murmurs. Everyone, there's been a misunderstanding that we need to clear up. Linda has admitted to some things that need to be addressed honestly. Whispers spread throughout the crowd. Linda's shoulders drooped. My parents stood by, their faces masks of confusion and frustration. I stepped forward. It's important for everyone to understand that Linda has treated me unfairly for many years. This isn't about the wedding. It's about setting things right. Linda finally seemed to accept the situation. She nodded slightly at Nathan and then faced the crowd. I haven't been the sister I should have been, and for that, I am truly sorry. The awkward silence that followed was thick, but necessary. I felt a strange mixture of vindication and sorrow. Nathan addressed the guests again. For now, we're putting the ceremony on hold. We'll figure things out, but it will take time. One by one, guests started to disperse, making space for the Manning family to process what had just unraveled. My parents were still in shock, their world of denial finally shattered. Linda stepped towards me, a tear sliding down her cheek. I know I've been horrible, Lee. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I am sorry. I nodded, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Thank you for the apology, Linda. We'll see where things go from here. Nathan approached me, sincerity in his eyes. I appreciate your courage, Lee. You did the right thing. Thanks, Nathan. I hope you and Linda can find a way to work through this. As the guests filtered out, I saw Tom and Tina standing at the back, their expressions supportive. This was just the beginning of healing, but for the first time, it felt like the Manning family might find a path to real peace. Leaving the church, I felt a new sense of freedom. The truth was out, and the future was unwritten. It was up to me to decide where to go from here, and for once, that thought wasn't so daunting. The aftermath of the wedding that never was left the hall thick with tension. Nathan stood by, his face etched with disappointment. Linda was crumbling, her entire world unraveling in front of her eyes. Linda, I thought I knew you, Nathan began, his voice raw with betrayed trust. I can't marry someone with such a toxic heart. Linda's face turned a deep red, a cocktail of shame and fury battling inside her. Lay, how could you ruin my wedding? The truth needed to come out, I replied, firm but not unkind. I won't let you continue to hurt people. Linda trembled, her voice breaking. But this was supposed to be my perfect day. Nathan shook his head. A marriage based on lies can't start with a perfect day, Linda. It's better we found out now. Our parents stood off to the side, looking shell-shocked. My mother approached, her eyes pleading. Linda, what have you done? Linda avoided her gaze, unable to face the cumulative weight of her actions. I could see now more than ever how fragile she truly was. Turning to Nathan, my mother tried to reason. Nathan, please, this is all a misunderstanding. We can fix this. Nathan's face remained stoic. I need some time to process everything, he said, his tone final. I'm calling off the wedding for now. With Nathan's words, a collective gasp echoed through the hall. The guests exchanged looks of disbelief, unable to fathom the fallout they had just witnessed. Nathan turned to me. Lee, I'm sorry you had to go through all this. Thank you for being honest. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and sorrow. I hope this helps everyone move forward, Nathan. As the hall emptied, Linda slumped into a nearby chair, staring blankly at nothing in particular. The carefully constructed world she had built was in ruins, and it showed. I approached her cautiously. Linda, maybe this is the wake-up call you needed. Maybe now you can find a way to be genuinely happy. She didn't respond, her eyes filled with tears. For once, she seemed to grasp the gravity of her actions. Outside, the sun was starting to set, casting long shadows on everything. I found Tom and Tina waiting for me, their faces a mix of worry and pride. "It's done. I'm finally free from their judgment," I said, breathing deeply. "You did the right thing, Lee. It took a lot of courage," Tina said, giving me a tight hug. Tom nodded. "This will all settle in time, and you'll come out stronger." As I walked away from the hall, a strange sense of calm settled over me. This chapter of my life was closing, and though the future was uncertain, I was ready to embrace it without the weight of past burdens. I knew there would be more difficult conversations ahead, especially with my family, but the hardest part was over. Now, it was time to focus on my happiness, my career, and the people who truly valued me. For the first time, I felt like I was stepping into the light after years of being in the shadows, and that I knew was the beginning of something new. A week after the wedding fiasco, I found myself back in the coffee shop with Tina. The air felt lighter, as if a heavy storm had finally passed. "So, how are you feeling now that the dust has settled?" Tina asked, taking a sip of her coffee. "It's strange," I admitted, stirring my cup absent-mindedly. Relieved, mostly, but also a bit sorry for Linda. She's been hiding behind her persona for so long. Tina nodded thoughtfully. "People like Linda don't change overnight, but at least you're free from her control." I nodded, agreeing. "True, I just hope she finds a way to be better." Tina reached across the table, giving my hand a squeeze. "Enough about her. Let's focus on you. What's your next big move?" "I got an exciting offer from Tom," I began, a smile spreading across my face. "He wants me to lead a major project that could take my career to the next level." "That's amazing, Leah," Tina exclaimed. "See? You're already moving forward and doing incredible things. It feels good," I confessed. "Like I'm finally stepping into my own light." Later that day, I walked into Tom's office, brimming with anticipation. He greeted me with his usual warm smile. "Leah, your work on the designs has been outstanding. I have a proposition for you." I leaned in, intrigued. "What's that?" "I want you to head our new branding project. It's a big responsibility, but I believe in your capabilities," Tom said, his eyes radiating trust. A surge of pride and excitement flowed through me. "I'd love to, Tom. Thank you for this opportunity." He nodded. "Well deserved, Leah. You've proven your worth time and again." As I left his office, I felt a strong sense of accomplishment. Turning a corner, I almost bumped into Nathan. "Nathan, hey, how have you been?" I asked, genuinely curious. "I've been better, honestly," he admitted, shrugging. "But I'm figuring things out. How about you, Lee? How are you holding up?" "Better than ever, actually. I've got a new project, and it feels like a fresh start," I replied, smiling. He returned the smile, albeit faintly. "Good to hear. Thanks for your honesty that day. It was hard, but necessary." "Sometimes the hardest things to hear are the most important," I said softly. "I hope everything turns out okay for you." "I'm sure it will in time," Nathan said, giving me a nod before walking away. That evening, as I sat on my balcony looking at the starry sky, I felt an overwhelming sense of freedom. I had faced my fears head-on and come out stronger. The future was wide open, full of possibilities. I called Tina, eager to share the news. "Tina, guess what? I'm leading the new project at Tom's," she squealed with excitement. "Leah, that's incredible. You deserve it more than anyone." "Thanks, Tina, for everything. For always being there," I said, gratitude filling my voice. "Always, Leah. Now go conquer the world." As I hung up, I leaned back and closed my eyes, feeling the cool night breeze. The ties that once bound me were shattered, and with them, a new journey had begun. It felt like the start of something truly beautiful.